let me ask you a question, and I don't know the whole story about this, so I don't really want to get into it. So you can explain it to me. What? Because I wasn't at that show. I'm usually at other MLW shows. But what went down between you and Cornette over some shit with Sonny Kiss? Is that his name?
100%. I don't like what he said online. Like, and then to preach.
What did he?
Like,
What did he say? I don't know the story. Could you please tell me?
He said in his podcast while he's reviewing AEW Double or Nothing, because, you know, obviously he has to say something negative about everything. Wanted to put over the fact that, like, oh, they didn't even explain what this guy was. Like, first of all, in 2019, we don't have to explain what someone of homosexuality or anything is, because it's 2019, everything's accepted of that terms. And then he wanted to just call him a transvestite when not even knowing what he was, and say he got off, looks like he just got off from working a day shift at the fucking Tropicana as a drag queen. I'm like, that's just ignorant. Like, that's speaking ignorant.
I'm gonna be devil's advocate here, okay? Because I heard Cornette and I watched the thing. I'm not a fan of Cornette, but I call it like I see it. Cornette said a lot of shitty things. He goes after Joey Ryan, which I think is like he goes overboard with a lot of guys.
He goes after anyone that has any sort of notoriety, because he hasn't done anything in his career in the last 20 years to be worth the shit. So he wants to make money off other people.
Well, and the thing is, like, it'd be different if he was just critical, but he goes after people in a very vile and vulgar way.
And then he gets his fans to go after him on Twitter. Right. Like, there's this one fan that doesn't agree with my opinion on Cornette and is putting out there that he has my home address and phone number and telling people to DM him to get if they want my number, and which I don't know how he got my number, but maybe this crazy person does. That's the kind of society we live in today. And I'm not so mad about what Cornette says. I'm mad about the type of people that he caters to and builds this like hatred and this hate-filled community around hating anything that's different and what they don't like. I hate this term when wrestling fans go, "This isn't wrestling." Why isn't it wrestling? Wrestling, we've had undead wizards shoot lightning bolts out of their fucking hands. How is anything over the top from that point? We are living in a fictitious fantasy world where anyone can be anything. For someone to say this isn't wrestling, I'm on the complete wavelength of professional wrestling is a buffet and there's wrestling for everyone. If you don't like an aspect of wrestling, just don't fucking watch it. It's that easy.
Right, and the thing is, bro, and wait 1 second. And here's the other thing, bro. It's real easy. And I tell this to people all the time. You went to see Iron Man. Guess what? He doesn't really fly. Did that change the movie at all for you? No, it didn't, because it was good. Was a wrestling match? That's it. It's entertainment. We are entertainment. But here's one thing I wanted to ask you. Somebody came at the door when you were answering the Sonny Kiss thing. So what is the correct thing to call Sonny Kiss? Because he called him a transvestite. What do you call him? Transgender, transperson?
Well, here's the thing.
He's a homosexual male. Yeah. That's it. Or he's just a professional wrestler. Or he's just a male wrestler. Like, I don't understand why in someone's head that there has to be some sort of explanation for what this person is. He's just a person. How hard is it just to put that across? Why is that something that you want to jump down and critique of how a person looked and be like, oh, this needs an explanation? Their fans don't understand. Yes, their fans understand it because they've put over Sonny as the type of character he is on their show, which gets their Being the Elite, which gets more views than some wrestling shows during the week. So that's where I don't understand. Like, well, maybe you should actually follow their product a little bit if you're going to be so critical of it.
Well, here's the thing. That this is why I'm giving Cornette a pass on this specific one, is because he was saying it in the context. Like, if you didn't know what this character was, I'm visually trying to describe it to you without showing you what the guy looks like. And it's like the guy's dressed up as a girl. So it's like I'm not gonna give him a thing on that. But here's what the funny thing about Cornette, and I think it's hysterical, is he always rails against sports entertainment. And I'm like, well, what the fuck did he do? Like, he was a guy claiming to be a manager of the wrestlers, walking around hitting everybody in the back with a tennis racket. I'm like, that's what is that? I go, if that's not sports entertainment, I don't know what is. It's like, could you imagine Kevin Durant's manager Like if last night when the crowd was booing, was cheering when Kevin Durant got hurt, if Kevin Durant's manager walked up and were hitting the people with tennis rackets, that's like they were booing. I just think that's funny that that there's this old mentality has it like that's like, dude, it's like you kind of got a warped vision of things here,
Or like for people of his generation to go, oh, what Ricochet and what Will Ospreay do isn't wrestling. It's just choreographed fucking bullshit. Well, let me put this out there then. Oh, that's what's killing the business? Or how about we do headlock shoot off tackle every fucking match for the last 50 years? Like, wouldn't someone be smart enough to maybe not shoot someone off and take a tackle when that happens every match? That I feel like that gives away the business a lot more than freaking Will Ospreay and Ricochet going out there and having killer matches and showing their art form of wrestling, because no form of wrestling is correct or wrong.
I'll agree with that, but I want to ask you this, and this is a theory I have that I always tell people, is that you've got a very well-defined character. You're very you got unlikable. You got a gimmick. You're dressed like somebody that would trouble somebody. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're well-defined, right? So my whole thing is like, and then this is what I've always said, is that if wrestlers today, if we graduate and just everybody starts working toward and doing acrobatics, right? My thing is like, how do you cut promos if that's what you're going to go out there and do? Because my whole thing is like, bro, I grew up, you grew up watching wrestling too, and everything. Bro, I liked a good old fashioned street fight when there was a good angle, a brawl, something. There's no like street fighting, brawling in wrestling anymore. Everybody's kind of like doing acrobatics and stuff. Everything.
I don't agree with that one bit. Like, I think if you watch what I do, or watch what the Chris do, or watch what a lot of different wrestlers that do that style, the difference is there's so many good different styles now that there can be that eclectic melting pot of 1,000 different styles on one show, unless you're a show that's only garnering to one type of fans. The shows I run at the Wrestling Revolver, I book my stuff a certain way. I always have a badass technical wrestling match. I always have an old school style wrestling match. I always have a hardcore match. I always have a comedy match. I always have a high flippy doodah match. Like, I always have matches that can garner the taste of any wrestling fan out there, because not one style of wrestling is correct. And if I see a whole show of just that one style of a match, it's going to get boring.
I'll agree with you, but when I'm talking in the context of weekly television, okay, like you can write the Conan books like that too. There's like the big strong angle at the top. It's like there's a variety in each show. But my whole thing is like, if you're going to go out there and you don't know, or like you've even said it's like a lot of guys in wrestling don't even look like they know how to fight. If you don't look like you know how to fight, and you never go out there and look like you know how to fight, how do I promote your match? Like, what do I have you say in an interview? That's my only issue with that. Because like if you're going to go out there and say, like Sami Callihan say, I'm gonna kick your ass, break your face, and knock your teeth down your throat, I've got a pretty good visual picture of what the match is going to look like. But like, if Ricochet and Ospreay are going to go do what they do with each other, what are you like? If you're a guy that promotes shows. What do you have them say to promote the show? To promote their match?
They're the two best physical athletes in the world today, and it's like, who is going to outthink the other person? All it's going to take is one mistake on someone's outlook to ruin the match, because these guys are so talented at what they do. And it's one of those, it's truly is a chess game. Everything's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who's going to have that first hiccup, and the other person's going to capitalize on it?
Sammy, and it's very easy because, for example, like you said, we booked the exact same way. That's how I book in TJ. Well, you worked a couple times with me and Crash, but that's exactly how I book in TJ. But that thing of like Ricochet and Will is like it's a story that writes itself. You're watching two of the best of our time right now. They're going to face each other. You don't see it a lot, and they're going to face each other, because we had a show on Sunday, and it was Vikingo versus Laredo Kid. And the wrestlers were coming up to me. This is the wrestlers. And they're like, what match is that? Because they wanted to see it. And when they came out, the people already knew it was going to be a great match. You know what I'm saying? So you didn't even really have to set it up.
Some stories write themselves. And it's one of those things is, how's what they're doing any different than what Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko did? Or how's this any different than what RVD and Jerry Lynn did? Every generation will have those same type of athletes. So they're just studs when it comes to athletic competition of every time they get in the ring, it's going to be fireworks and see who comes out on top.